We are now live. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Joseph Savino Catalano III. I am an independent candidate for President of the United States, and I'm here to introduce myself to all the citizens of this great country, the United States of America. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. I'm here to introduce my story, to tell you a little bit about myself, and ease your mind that first I got to ask is how many people are tired of the traditional politician? I know I talked to a lot of people in Florida, and they're just done. They're done with the left, the right, the blue, the red. They don't want it no more. But they got two parties when there should be three parties. We should give the American people many choices so they can make a decision on who will be the best candidate. And they make it difficult for independents to even try to get on the ballot. Let me take you down for example here. Let me read you some stuff here. I think you'd be amazed at what I'm going to read to you. Give me a minute here. All right. Let me just show you some of the stuff. All right. So let's start out with Florida. Florida, 145,000 signatures to get on the ballot, which means rule of thumb is you got to get 180,000 because if you turn to 145 and all of a sudden they count, they say, 10,000 weren't active no more. Oh, and tomorrow's the deadline. Where are you going to get 10,000? You're done. You're done in the water. So you have to protect yourself. That's the main thing you got to do is protect yourself. Now, most states give you a very small window. California gives you 90 days to get 215,000 signatures. But they make it possible. So I wrote today to our two senators, Senator Scott. I also wrote to our person in Congress, Kathy Castor, to set up a meeting, go in there, and I'm proposing that they make it fair across the board for what they do for Republican and Democrat. They made it open the door for independents to have the same funding that they offer. It keeps campaign honest when you're taking a grant because they monitor it, they watch it, they disperse. So it keeps the campaign honest. That's number one. Number two, it gives the people a third choice, which we deserve that. I believe that the Constitution was written by our forefathers 250 years ago, and they intended for the average American man, working man, to run for office. Now, we've had one president out of 47 presidents that was an independent. That was George Washington, our very first president. So if our very first president was an independent, why so quickly did they spend the next 249 years to build a two-party lock-in system, which is nothing? You got these polished politicians go up there, they promise you everything. They come from Ivy League schools and they got money. The funniest thing that Bill Clinton said when he was running, he said, "I feel the American people's pain for real." No, he can't. Because let me tell you something about my redemption arc story. I grew up in the streets of Chicago, very poor. I don't come from money. My father was a very bad Chicago corrupt police officer. My grandfather was a police officer. He was an honest cop. He put a lot of years in, retired as a homicide detective. My dad booted off the force after 14 years. He was involved in a shooting, 79, February 79, on snow command duty while his patrol car was parked on Irving Park Road in Narragansett. So he was blocking the streets so the snowplows can clear all the snow. He claimed a blue Cadillac struck the back of the police car. He got out to see what happened, if everybody's okay, and they opened fire on him. And he claimed it was two black men. And there was also a bulletin out. They were looking for suspects coming from a bank robbery. So he must have heard that, and he pushed it towards them. So of course he gets shot. He's rushed to the hospital. First officer in the line of duty shot in 1979. And first rule of thumb, you go on administrative leave. They take your weapon to check They check your hands for residue, and they start their investigation to see if they're going to close it. Or, unfortunately, for my dad, it went on about a year. And the end result was that he had a shootout with another Chicago police officer over his wife, because it was his ex partner who was having an affair with his wife, and he wound up leaving the father, marrying his partner, and had a child. Now that's the end. My father winds up catching a break, resign, or be prosecuted. Leave the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois, and we'll give you 3/4 of your pension. So he draws out and he goes and makes a life in Las Vegas. Well, that failed many, many ways. And she divorced his partner. She married another guy, and she wasn't happy with him. He found his way back to her, and they reconciled and got remarried. And she died at 58 in Las Vegas because 10 years earlier, my stepsister passed away, and she was a grieving mother that just couldn't let it go. And 10 years to the date she passed away, my dad said he woke up, looked at her, and knew she was passed on. My dad, and now my dad wasn't very fond of my father. He didn't pay $1 child support for us, didn't care for his kids. He left us in the wind. We still found compassion to take him in and take care of him because he was now pretty sick. So he spent a few years in Florida, and at the time I was working professional baseball behind the scenes. I ran locker rooms at different levels of the minor leagues. Started out as a major league bat boy, Wrigley Field, um, and a very, very early age, I learned how to hustle, how to, I had to make my own money. If I wanted shoes, if I wanted new clothes, if I wanted to stay with a friend to school, I had to go out and work. I lived in the Wrigley Field area back in the 70s. I was born in 65, and it was a very rough area. Prostitution, drugs, junkie needle users of heroin, uh, pimps, you name it, gangbangers everywhere, shootings every day, bullets flying. And I took to the streets, got a lot of fights. And my mother couldn't control me. Like I was 9 or 10 years old, my mother couldn't even control me anymore. And I apologize. I stumbled on to the equipment truck coming from the airport, um, bringing in the Cubs and the visiting team equipment for the games that are being played at Wrigley Field. So I climbed out of my bedroom window about 2 a.m. on the equipment trucks, and I would jog down to Wrigley Field, about 5.5 blocks, and I would go to the truck drivers and I say, "I want to help you unload the equipment. I don't want to pay." And the first few times, "Get out of here, kid. Shoo, you're not past your curfew. Get home." Finally, persistent or not, I went every time they were there. So finally, the guy named Rocky said, "Kid, you are one persistent kid. All right, we'll let you start helping us." So I had my door to bring the luggage to the visiting clubhouse. All I could do was the visiting side. Yosh Kawano wasn't having no outsiders in the clubhouse. So I did this for about 3 months, and then I got called over to the clubhouse manager named Ron Zero. He says, "You do a pretty good job on bringing in equipment." And as I was bringing the equipment in, first couple of times I had to leave it to drivers. But after that, you want to stay and help us unpack? If I was able to unpack, I was in the locker room, but no players were there. So now they asked me if I want to come after the game, right after the game, and clean the players' cleats, which I got there right on time, and still players were still there and get to see a lot of great players. And then finally it came, they asked me if I wanted to work in the clubhouse and be a bat boy, and I became a major league bat boy. I pushed my job. I pushed my way through the door. It wasn't a job I answered in the newspapers. It wasn't somebody gave me that clout. I was determined and I got it. Long story short, I was always a small guy, and my mother taught me some valuable lessons. She taught me how to stand up for myself and how to fight for myself. My mother taught me how to fight. So we had a lot of fights, but baseball saved my life. Without baseball, I probably would have been in prison or dead at a very young age. I had a lot of tragedies happen to me starting in 1980. My grandfather had just retired and cancer real bad. He passed away. Tore me up. It's something that just to this day I don't have an answer for. I just miss it dearly. When I was 15, I had just a neighbor knew her brothers. I lived on Melrose Street. She lived on Melrose Street, but one block up. And I asked her if she wanted to be my girlfriend, and we were going through that. And she had walked by about 4 in the afternoon on Southport Avenue, because at this point I had moved out of my house because I didn't get along with my stepfather. My uncle let me move in this basement apartment, and she was walking to the Roscoe in Southport convenience store, and I asked her if I wanted to walk with her. She said, I'll come back and see you on the way back." Never made it back. Never made it back. So I went to the neighbor looking for her. They found her body 2 days later, directly across the street, all hacked up. It was one of the biggest murders in that neighborhood in history. Christine Jordan murder. The guy hacked her up. So that's the second tragedy in my life. 1982. Now, I wasn't a good student in high school either. I was very poor at writing, very good. I didn't care. I didn't want to learn. I was a street guy. I had the best of both worlds. All my neighborhood friends were local gang members, Lat Kings, Disciples, Deuces, Kid Royals. Oh, I knew them all. I had the best of all worlds. I could be neutral with all of them. And I was a pretty smart person when it came to strategies and eluding the police, because I had the inside track with the police department, because I knew how they operated, knew how they threatened, because I was raised around it. But I also had, being Italian, I had a lot of neighborhood connection with some of the local mob guys. And unfortunately, one of the mob guys, very notorious, very big name, was the enforcer for the Chicago outfit. It was ran by Tony Accardo. Was Anthony Splatro, who was a friend of my father's and was my godfather. Long story short, I was torn. Do I want to be this? Do I want to be that? But baseball changed, and I really was. I started to really become a better person. Um, but when I turned 17, I started dating a girl. She was from the neighborhood, never knew her, and it was supposed to be just a couple one night stand, and it turned into I get her pregnant. I had my first child at 17. So I went from 13, living on my own, to working one of the greatest jobs a kid could have, to skip all my teen years and become a man. I'm a father now, and I was, very determined to bring my daughter into this world and give her a good home. Shortly after she was born, I started dabbling in cocaine, and now the streets were pulling me back for it. I worked Wrigley Field. And 83 was my last year bat boy. 84, 85, and 86, I worked on the home clubhouse. I was training to become the cinematographer, the video guy. They were breaking out a new whole department. They were going to have video guys tape frame by frame for the pitchers and the hitters, and they were looking for people to train. And I was going to that field, and I was working under Bob Cyrils, who came over for the Phillies with Dallas Green. And I kind of liked that job. I was still in the locker room, still with the players, but it was my duties weren't cleaning clubhouse no more, cleaning jock straps, doing laundry, sweeping, making sure the players get paid and stuff. I was strictly in the video room, which was in the clubhouse, but I got even closer with the players. Well, my drug use turned very badly, very quickly. Long story short, I was an addict for 39 plus years, a functioning addict. So I left baseball because I felt like it was getting noticeable, and I felt bad. My oldest child, I didn't want her to see none of that. And I asked my mother, please take my daughter and let her live with her, which my mother lived upstairs. My mom got a new building. I moved to the basement apartment. My mother had a second floor. My mother had the first floor family building. And I couldn't live in my mother's home because I didn't get along with my stepfather at the time. He was just, for various reasons, we just were like oil and water. And I'm not saying he was a great guy, but he had his hang up too, as we all did. And I wind up leaving. And my father had put in my head, he said, you got, I had my daughter, and then in 86, I had my firstborn son. 87, I had my second son, my third child. So in 86, I was 20 when I had my namesake. I'm December. He was March of 86. So, and then of 87 was my other son, my youngest son, and I was 21. Now, I was ripping and running. I had left baseball in 87 season. I hung it up. I was just want to get caught and be known to ruin the opportunity of everyone to go back of being labeled as a drug addict. So I chose to leave there, and a suggestion was made that former superintendent of police department James O'Grady, who was a dear friend of my grandfather, going to run for sheriff. I should get involved with the political campaign. So I reached out, and he had me meet him down. Now his headquarters for the campaign was on State Street. Left the state is the main headquarters for Chicago Police Department. He was like 13 or 1400 south, and there was a building, big old warehouse, and a basement. And he says, "Listen, I need someone in the basement that can 4x8 signs. You can roll it with a roller, the blue, and then we got these stencils, and you just paint over the stencils and make the signs, get them ready by the dock, and the truck drivers will go out and deliver to different neighborhoods and different people's yards." Strictly Grassroots he was running. Strong story short, he wins by a landslide over Sheriff Elrod, and he thanked me for my part, and I just went out looking for a job, because I had to take care of my kids. I got a phone call from his office, and he says, "I want you to come down and talk to me." And I get down there, and to me, he was Jim O'Grady. He's a friend of my grandfather. So when the secretary said he's waiting for you, I go in there. James DeVore, the undersheriff, was there, and he knew me, but I never met him. He knew my dad. He liked my dad. He knew my grandfather. He respected my grandfather, but he never met me. So I shook his hand. I heard a lot of bad things about him. He was corrupt, and that he was not good for being undersheriff, and that Jim O'Grady would be in trouble down the line, which all came true. So when I shook the sheriff's hand, I said, "Jim, thank you for having me." And the undersheriff looked at me and goes, "Show some fucking respect. He's the sheriff of Cook County, and you're in his office." "Well, excuse me, sir. I didn't mean no disrespect." "Sheriff, thank you." And he laughed, and he chuckled. He goes, what do you want to do for your future?" I said, "Well, I got a family. I need a serious job. I need something that's going to be stable with a pension." He goes, "Well, why don't you go on the sheriff's department? We'll start you out whatever you want. You want to go to the jail? You want to go to court services? You do good there, and I'll propose you for the sheriff's police department, which could lead you to a lot of things. You could go branch out to the FBI, Secret Service, or you could stay a sheriff, police officer, work in the suburbs. Or do you want to go to the Chicago Police Department?" I said, "No, I really don't want to go to the Chicago Police Department. I really want to do the sheriff thing, but it was a steady job." So he goes, "Okay, here's how it's going to go. You're going to take a written exam. Don't worry about nothing. Don't worry about if you pass or not. Just show up for the test. We'll take care of everything else. You have a high school diploma." I said, "Well, I didn't graduate. I got to do an extra year to get my diploma." So I had to go back to summer school because I was behind in my credits. He said, "Don't worry about that. When they ask you a person, just tell me that it'll be one in your files there." So I didn't have to do nothing but take the written exam. I got a phone call saying I made the list, pass. The next step was psychological, physical, and I passed that. At the time, I was 21, about 140. I was built fast, and I was in really good shape. Drugs were deteriorating me very quickly. Now, before I got the job, I had majorly OD'd for the first time, and that changed me. I quit for a while. Uh, I felt really like anything, even when I touched it or got near it, I got sick because of the OD, and I was an addict. But I was a functioning addict. I never stole. I worked. I could hustle. I could talk my way, and then people would hand me stuff. That's how good I was. I had a knack, gift to talk, and I lived a fast life. I'm not saying it was good, but I kept my kids out of it. I never let my kids see anything bad. I provided, and I went made the decision to go to the jail because he asked me, "You were a fighter, or you want to just be in the courts where you're safe?" I said, "No, I like to fight." Because the jail is at the time Division 1 and Division 5, and the medical division, and they were getting ready to build a big compound out there. They got Division 11, 10, 12, 14. They got so many divisions now, it's unbelievable. So I went to Division 1. I reported as a cadet, and I reported to Lieutenant Troca, one of the greatest, finest men who ever been around. And he was in charge of all the guys that could fight. And then there was in charge of all the guys that do paperwork. So we did fighting, and I'll tell you what I mean by fighting. I like to teach inmates lessons and bring them into a room where there's no cameras, win or lose, no hard feelings. And if they beat us, they beat us. We wouldn't penalize them for hitting an officer, and we killed a lot of beefs that way. I did a lot of fighting, a lot of fighting. Well, I was assigned to ABO, which is the bottom of the basement. ABO was for the worst of the worst. It was a lockdown with the old bars. It was known that Al Capone was there. Sam Giancana was there. All the big name mafia guys were in ABO. Now, housing there at the time I was a cadet was Jeff Fort, leader of the El Rukins, Rico Crenshaw, one of the generals of the El Rukins, Shorty King, third in command of the Lat Kings, uh, brothers who were in charge of Royals, and they were in there, and they're all facing life. Well, the rumor came down that Jeff Fort was going to climb through the ventilation system, get to the roof, and he had so much money, the helicopter was going to pick him up. We get this intel, and now I had a ventilation about 2 foot this way, 2 foot that way, is in his cell. Now, apparently, the rumor was he climbed up there with bed sheets for months at a time, and he had guns up there, uh, switchblades, knives, whatever you name it, and that he had penetrated the roof. He got the lock open. So they say, Catalano, you're the smallest guy here. You got to go up. So at the time, my sergeant was named um, Kenny Kenny Jason, and he was also a famous DJ from Chicago, Kenny Jam and Jason. And my partner with the cadets was Julian Jumper Perez. I don't know if you guys remember that guy. He was also a cadet before he became famous. So I went up with Kenny. He was Sergeant Kenny's, and he was a little bit chunky. Got stuck actually halfway up. He couldn't make it all the way past the halfway point. And I went all the way up, and I found Shanks. I didn't find no guns. I saw the lock was busted, and he had into the roof. So the breakout was going to be very, very seriously going to be done. And they pulled it off. Before they even got a round off, he would have been long gone and probably out of the country. So get down, I write the report, and one to the lieutenant, one to the captain, one to the superintendent, and one to the sheriff. Sorry, I'm very sorry. I just work it a lot. And we got ordered to go to this fundraiser. That's part of the cadets' duties is we had to attend all the fundraisers, dinner raising. They're always raising money in politics. They're always having these uh, dinner plate dinners, donate money, $150 plates, 300 plates, 1,500 plates. And I went there, and we had a table for all the cadets. Now I went to the academy. 88-2 was the second academy. First one was in January. Oh, I'm sorry. 88-1 was the first one. I was 88-2. And it was about 10 weeks for the academy. So January, February. I started academy in April. Yeah, man. I had a good time to stream, but I wanted to get this out. I'm trying a new platform. I don't think anybody's here. If there is, ask a question, please. If you want to ask the questions, I'm here to answer the question. And so all the other cadets are bragging about how they, who their juice is. Most of them, James Dvorak brought him in. And there was another guy named Bill Creamer, who had no clout. He said, I was just the luck of the draw. Like, passed every day, he had a brain himself, he got on the academy. And me, I was bussed in from the north side, and I was allowed to go to my normal high school, and I had to go to this school in near Tampa. So, you got to excuse me for that. I usually talk for hours, but let me get something to drink. I'm going to scratch the throat. So, make a long story short, we're at this $250 plate dinner fundraiser. We're all sitting at a table, and the cadets are bragging about who's their clout is. And most of them are James Dvorak. When it come down to me, I said, I don't have no clout. I was just a luck of the straw. Okay, come on, you got to know somebody. No, I didn't. I really didn't. Well, you're top in your academy class because I was the only one fit. They were all fat slobs, most of them. Except for this one girl named Karen Ryan. She was physically fit too, which I wind up working with her out of the academy. Anyhow, long story short, I go in the academy, and I'm at this fundraiser. And everybody's bragging, and I'm playing the dumb role. I don't know nobody. And here comes the sheriff right to me. Joey, great report. Heard what you did. Great job. He says, I'll see you when you graduate. I'm going to put you. You want to go to warrants? I hear. I go, yeah, I want to break down doors and go to. I want to be the first one to the door, and I want to pick up people on warrants. He says, okay, I'm putting you there. Which was I go from the graduating as a cadet to an officer, and then 24 hours later promoted to an E5 grade, which was like being 10 years on a job pay, detective pay, because I had the juice. So you find out the sheriff's my guy, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're with the sheriff." I go, "No, he's just pulling your leg." I still wouldn't admit that. Anyhow, I had thought I had my drug problem under you. I had been clean for a while, and I got some pressures and some things happened, and uh, home problems, amongst other things. And I started dabbling again while I was in the academy. I stayed through there, and I got caught one day with drugs in my pocket while I was on duty, and I was arrested. I was still on probational period. That only lasted 88 to 90. I was under two. I was still on my probation. Didn't even have the back end of the union. I had to, so they arrested me with half gram of cocaine, 3 tablets of Valiums, and the judge wrote a book at me. So it was a disgrace to the uniform, disgrace to everybody. This is supposed to be Mr. Squeaky. Judge John Madden was supposed to be like the squeakiest judge in the world until years later when I found it different. So here I am. I'm at 14th District Police Station. I was busted by one of my fathers and in my arch enemies, Sergeant Danny Noon, another guy my dad screwed over, and he was very happy that he got to arrest me. So he jammed me up. Colonel Ferris, the sheriff broke him out. I signed the paper. I resigned, and that's it. My life goes on. So at the time, I get out. I caught another case. I go on probation. I went out. I caught a forgery case. So I started getting high again and in small committing crimes like writing checks, conning. No hurting people, no nothing. Baseball, I gave up. I missed a lot. So while I was on, while I was on the probation. Now, my life with my mother and my first 3 kids is over. She was just not a nice woman. She did a lot of things behind my back, but we never married. We had 3 kids, and we parted ways this year for 24 years. Then I'm the actual first person I married, and that was. Listen, I'm not sit here and trash nobody because I got beautiful kids out of it with her. Other than that, that was it. It was a nightmare. We were like gasoline and oil. It was bad, very bad. I'm Italian, and I wasn't going to do what my father did to me, and I stayed with my kids that were grown, and I went back to baseball. And the best thing I could do was I went to the Phillies and met in Clearwater under Paul Barrett, became the assistant minor league equipment manager, which later on I branched out to the San Diego Padres, the Texas Rangers full time, and I wound up working a total of 10 years in the big leagues. I took a couple years off, and I worked uh, 21 years in the minor leagues. So I had 31 years, 31 plus years in. Um, the entire time I worked in the minor leagues, I was high every day, functioning addict. Not one time did they ever suspect me being high. I pulled it off for 21 years. Now, in baseball season, outside the full time job I had with the Rangers, I had no job. I had to do whatever I had to do. So that's when I turned back to the streets. I started dealing drugs. My friends that I grew up with that were big high shot callers now with the Disciples and the Kings. So I had that, and then I had my godfather who was out in Vegas, and '84 came, and this guy that worked. I started working at Maywood Park Racetrack too. That was one of my other jobs, and I had worked at the paddock, and I took the trainers and the owners to the winner's circle for the picture when the horse won. So I had a lot of juice because I got that job because the owner Sheldon Robbins' son was a fan of the Atlanta Braves. I got him to be bat boy, and he said whatever you want. He gave me a cush job. I only made $75 a night, but it was just one of my jobs. I had 3 jobs around the clock, and drugs, of course, and then 2 legit things. So, make a long story short, uh, I let me see. I'm trying to think where we go from this return. So I was talking about baseball. So I go back to baseball. Make a long story short, I'm an addict. Nobody knows. I'm sheltering it pretty good, and uh, I get the full time job at the Texas Rangers. That lasted 2.5 years. My guy that got me in was resigning. because he was promised to become a general manager, and and Buck Showalter wouldn't hear of it. He wanted John Daniels to stay on, John Hart, and Hart they did, and they're supposed to be replacing anyhow. So I'm lost here. I'm sorry. I'm Ramadan. So I don't like talking to no audience. I can't see nobody here asking me questions. So I'm gonna make this quick. So I woke up one day. So yeah. So now I go back to baseball. I'm running the clubhouses in minor leagues. I'm making a lot of connections. I'm still friendly with a lot of major league ball players. I had to work major league spring training. I was with Alex Rodriguez, Juan Gonzalez, Pudge Rodriguez. And that year, a mobster got out of prison because I released him early. They asked him to go work for him. He thought it was a setup, and he goes, "No, we want you to go around and talk to all the major league athletes about gambling and tell them what do's and don'ts are, and what would happen if they don't pay their debt, how the mob would use them." So he does, and that person was Michael Franchese, who became a dear friend of mine, my mentor. We both have the same tattoo. He's just bigger. He was my mentor, and I have it right there. Throughout the years, I kept in touch with Michael. Um, he's been trying to come on and do my podcast. He's just so busy. The man has changed his whole life around. He's a motivational speaker and a number one author. And he was a capo regime in the Colombo crime family because his father was the underboss. And Michael was supposed to be a doctor. He was in medical school. So I make that friends, and I'm hanging around with all the Rafael Palmeiro, Mr. Viagra, and life is good. But I go back to drugs. I tried to quit, and I couldn't. But again, I slid through it, but I was always high. And I looked at all the waste. And then I had a couple cases in Chicago with the drugs that I get probation. I violated probation. It's 1990, and I go out to Vegas because I went in the bartenders union, and it was a no show job. I never had to went to union hall. They would call me and send me out to slots of fun, circus. I worked the bar with the bartenders, and I was considered a barback. $25 an hour, and plus 15% of the tips what the bartenders made. I went on a lam. Uh, I violated probation, and I didn't want to go to jail until my son was my youngest son, which I'm glad. So I moved, and first of all, we had connections with the DMV. I got me a driver's license in my mother's maiden name. I had two driver's licenses. Couldn't use the Catalano one because I had warrants. So I had to make sure I couldn't get pulled over. So I went to Lake Tahoe. I drove with Sierra Taxi. Was the first company I drove with, owned by Anthony, an Italian guy. Pino was a dispatcher who became good friends with. And here I am, 25 years old. I'm in Lake Tahoe, waiting, uh, waiting for my son to be born. Excuse me. And I'm ripping and running. I make connections right away, and I'm dealing out of the cab. I met the Mexicans, and they gave me whatever I wanted. I had a gift. I could walk in a room of Colombians, Mexicans, and by the end of the night, I have all the drugs presented to me because my word was bond, and I was moving a lot. I like the fast-paced life, but I like baseball. So I had the best of both worlds. But little did I know how much damage I was doing to my brain and my body. So, long story short, I OD again. This time it was the worst of the worst until the third one. So now I get approached by this little Jewish guy named Jeffrey Northrup, who he says it's strictly him and this buddy Smitty are pretty good handicappers. They decided to do it professionally. They asked me to come out to Vegas, pay me 2 hours a day to go around to all the different sports books, write down the basketball lines, write the baseball scores, and call it into the books in Chicago. That's how they started their opening line. Paid me $200 for 2 hours worth of work, 7 days a week. I had a great job. Taking into consideration, I'm back on drugs. So what's going to happen? I'm probably going to mess up my job, right? Yes, that's what I do. So, sorry, I'm just getting long talk, food for thought. So my life is still down spiraling, but I'm a function addict. I'm paying bills. I got my kids. When I turn 18, my kids say, "Dad, you did good. You're a good dad. Go live your life." So I met my second, Christina Lynn, and I fell in love with her right away, and I think she fell in love with me. But I was torn. I went back home. I left her 3 times. She finally took me back the third time and said, "This is it." Long story short, we had a major tragedy happen to each of us. I'm not going to talk about it. and we recovered from it. And she wanted to marry me, and I'm like, "You really want to get married?" Because I really want to get married. So I married her on July 10th, 2016. I just had my 10th anniversary, and we've best friends. We do everything together, and we both beat up each other up verbally a lot, or a lot. We used to. Now we're settling down, but we would call each other so many bad names. It's unbelievable. But she's a good woman, and I'm blessed that I got her. Time to stream. I got nobody here though. I got nobody here. Want nobody here. I can't believe this. I put the this AI that's supposed to be a producer. He didn't do much for me. All I'm gonna say. I don't even know if I'm recording. Is it recording? Yeah, it's recording. All right. So, long story short, I decided to pack up and move to Florida because I want to be with the Phillies, and that's what we do. I give up my truck driving job. I work for Jerry Transportation, and I went to work. Took a chance with baseball salaries being very high, and I would start making a lot of tips, and I did. I made great tips. Things were starting to go good. I was down spiraling with crack cocaine really bad, and dabbling and drinking. We all know that it's a bad combination. Doing anything bad is tough. I had to make a living. Long story short, I'm going to backtrack to '84 again. I'm in Vegas. Now I'm working for a guy by the name of Jeffrey North, some guy named Smitty who told me it's their money, no mob ties. Well, I figured, all right, it's good to know. I'm plotting to maybe I'm going to take them off because they got a lot of money sitting around. They give me a big manila envelope to put away at my house, and they didn't tell me what was in it. I assumed it was money, and I started dipping into it and spending the money between drugs, cocaine, and gambling. Next thing I know, I went to $30,000, and the envelope was like 150,000. Well, sure enough, months later, I get the call. I need that envelope I gave you. Meet me here. So I bring the envelope. I knew it was 30,000, so I put $100 bill and a bunch of papers underneath it. And they call me immediately. What did you do this for? What's going on? All wanted explanation. And I felt I didn't need to do an explanation at the time. So, long story short, under major investigation now. I'm so sorry. I'm very tired. I'm stereotyped. I'm being brought in, and they're just messing with me. And so I'm in Lake Tahoe, and I made a lot of connections out there, and I actually like California. Well, I wanted to go back and clear my name up, so I go back to Lake Tahoe. I wanted to go back to my original name. Uh, so I had the opportunity, and uh, I think there was a judgment $952. Just something else I'm talking about somebody else. So anyhow, where was I? I lost my chain of thought. Anyhow, so that's what happened in those course events. Now let's get down to the issues. I know everybody's tired of the slush fund. This is slush funds exist. It's where all the politicians get to use this taxpayer slush fund to pay off people that they've done injustice to. Like maybe they with a woman that said no and they went all the way, or they groped. Anyhow, it's taxpayers' money. Why are they above the law? We're not. So that's one thing I'm going to fight to take off. Thing is, we have to hold the Senate, Congress, even anybody accountable for their actions. Honesty and integrity can still win the White House by fixing the root of the problem. But the first thing that we got to do is we got to stop funding foreign countries. We got 22,000 veterans sleeping on the sidewalk every day when we own thousands of federal property all over the United States. Half of it's not even being used. Some of it we're paying $10 million lease rent, $10 million out of the budget. Now the military budget is $480 billion. They got plenty of money. They got plenty of land and buildings that they can fix up and give. The soldiers should come back and not ever want to need. They should have everything free from the point on that they fought for this country. Free medical, free everything. You know, and they do. They get it. They get to collect their pension on Wednesday. So I started doing that, and I miss my grandmother dearly. Trust me when I tell you, she was my best friend. But anyhow, that's. I'm going to leave you with that because the other thing is inside trading. They got very rich Congress and the Senate by inside trading because of the inside trap. But they make it illegal for us. What is good for them is good for us. So I'm proposing this. About a Polished politician. I'm not poor. I'm not rich. I got no education except for street smarts. I'm tough as nails. I learn well. If I'm elected, if I get on the board, if I get on the ballot and I'm elected, I will surround myself with the best employees, the best lawyers are in the White House for my staff. I'll put the cabinet people in. They'll be picked, handpicked. They'll be done right. Um, so we're gonna do some good things. If you want to help me with the campaign, it's in the chat room. It's called HTTP colon J Catalano at uh, pain. I'm sorry. At what is it? I forgot what it's going to. What do they do? I'm drowning. Dead blank here. My mind is. I did a lot of drugs. Remember, my mind is afraid. So my redemption arc story is nothing kept me down. I should have been dead or in prison. I was an addict for 32 years. I wrote bad checks all over the place. I accountable, get caught, and pay it back. Now in 19 or 17, Hurricane Irma. I'm just married a little over a year. Comes ripping through Florida, and they declared all the counties emergency. So that means FEMA was going to be out everywhere. Well, long story short, my wife concocted a scheme, as you didn't believe. I'm so sorry. And they started investigating her 3 years following us around. Because how I know that? When I got Discovery with all the pictures and the surveillance cameras, they were following us around for 3 years, acting like, what, they think I was Al Capone? So I kind of laughed at that. But so I was very arrogant, like I mostly am. People don't like my arrogantness. I'm sorry. Um, it's just me. I'm sorry. Um, anyhow, um, I just want to say thank you. Real corrupt, the Anti-Corruption Act. I rewrote it. I made it rock solid. Prison reform. I have real prison reform. Okay. I got to get on the ballot. I got Tennessee locked up. It's 275 ballots. I got my good friend Dr. Steve there for Dr. Steve Weird Medicine. It's going to get me Tennessee. I got my on and off campaign advisor, Tim O'Brien, city councilman in a town in Ohio. He's done wonderful things there, and he's been in my corner. I want to thank him. I'm going to do this. I'm determined to. I'm going to get on the ballot. Once I get to Florida, instead of me taking the campaign money and buying fancy flights, private jets, flying everywhere, hotel, I'm going to get me a basic camper. It's going to be not only a roving campaign office. I do all my printing. I make all my stuff. I'm going to show you. Hang on one second. I'm doing all my printing daily. I print, I work, I go out, I meet people, I go to retirement homes, I shake hands with the senior citizens, and I'm getting the signatures by myself right now. I need volunteers in Florida to knock out Florida. Florida is the only state that gave us almost 3 years to get the signatures. We got a long way to go, but I'm making T-shirts. I'm making my own bumper stickers. If you want a bumper sticker, if you join us, you get a waterproof bumper sticker. I think I did a pretty good job. And this is one of the things that I can pay with campaign funds because I'm printing and daily essentials for the office can. So I want to get a roving, I want to get an RV. It's going to become my roving campaign office, my place that I do all my literature, flyers. I also have this. I'm making these out. And you can see right there, politics.raisethemoney.com/en/J Catalano. I'm running a grassroots. Every donation counts. I'm trying to get donations in there to get an RV so I can travel across the country, come and see you in your town. I want to come and listen. I want to talk to all the middle class and the poor people. My goal is to get all the veterans off the street. Under my watch, to be no veterans homeless. We're going to get everybody homeless. We're going to stop funding foreign countries. Universal health care. I'm going to fight every day. I'm poor. The last enemy, we got indicted. I went to prison for making a false statement. My wife went for hurricane fraud. She did 30 months. I got 6 months. I played 9 months, 270 days. I wound up doing 54 days in prison. Got myself clean. And every time someone knocked me down, and I'm a guy that should have been, I felt that I've been on borrowed time for 25 years. My story is this. I made a lot of mistakes. I'm accountable for everything. I'll answer any question about my life. I won't lie to you. I will never lie to you. I'll get up every day at the White House if I'm elected president, and I will fight hard together with you coming into Congress and talk to Senate when they have public speaking. And I'm gonna together we're gonna get me into the White House, and I'm gonna work hard every day. If I don't, we'll run again in the next election. So I'm making this. I got tons of business cards I'm making. A pretty good job, huh? And this is all legal. So I went ahead and I got Epson right here, my big boy, $55 a month, all paper, many papers. I got to print unlimited. Now here's the other thing. I got to get on the ballot in every state. All right, you follow me? I get on the ballot. They don't give me the forms and say, here you go. Here's 200,000 forms. Go get the signatures, and if you make it, we'll tally it up and we'll put you on the ballot. I got to print to buy it myself, but this is Florida. So the old way I was doing it, I was paying $60 a month for 1,500 maximum prints I could do. 1,500 of these a month times what's left to the election, I wouldn't even come close. So $55 a month, free ink. All you gotta do is buy the paper, and I go out and I look on Marketplace for if anybody's got any supplies they want to donate. If you want to be a volunteer to go out and get signatures, any way you want to help my campaign, sign up. Go to Catalano 2028 campaign at gmail.com. If you want to donate money, go to right here. I'll put it on. You can go back and watch it. See it right there. Politics. Raise the money. /EN/J Catalano. Very important. I got to sustain. It's normally $15 million to run a presidency. I'm going to do it in $3 million. I'm going to budget out. I'm not going to fly on fancy jets. I'm going to get a little RV, and I'm going to take my staff with me. It's probably going to be my family. We're going to go to every town. We're going to go out and campaign, and we're going to get on the ballot in each town. Every town's different. 145 here, 215 in California, 115,000 in Texas. Chicago's 25 or 35,000. New Jersey's 800. I'll get that locked down. I got my good friend Bob Levy's going to help me with that. I got Dr. Steve in Tennessee. I got Tim O'Brien in Ohio, who is a politician. So for a guy that came from nothing, who was an addict, I've been homeless and I've been on food stamps as well, and I know how to sit there. So I can go in any American house and really sit there and say, I understand your pain because I lived it. I'm a regular citizen. Give me a chance. Everything else has failed. The polished politicians and all the empty lies. One thing I will bring back to the White House: honesty and integrity, and still win the White House by fixing the root of the problem. I'm Joseph Samuel Catalano III. I'm going to conclude this by saying, God bless you. God bless America. Come join. I need volunteers, phone callers, people to make phone calls. I need people to help me pass out flyers. I need people to help me get signatures. It's going to be worth it, because if I win, you all win. If you need a T-shirt, go to my store. I have a store. If you want to buy a Catalano for America T-shirt, but I also have Catalano TV on YouTube with 7,000 subscribers. But it's not political. I got a political channel, but this is where I do bits and arguing. I'm called the Dabbleverse, with all Howard Stern ex-employees are in the Dabbleverse for big shows. I've been on all the big shows. I fight a lot of trolls. I enjoy it. It's all satire. Tonight I got a show tonight at 6:30. You want to watch it now? Don't folks. I'm going to be doing campaigns. You're going to see a different side of me. This is how I make part of my living. I was forced to retire due to illness, and I'm slow. And also to tell you what I did to redeem myself, I was 268. I had a bad heart. I was almost a diabetic. I went on Zepbound, and I'm down to 199 in 1 year. I feel great. I'm still a little heavy. I got 20 more pounds to shed. But I used to be out to here, and now I'm looking pretty good now. For 60 years old, look pretty good. I had a belly out to here. People say I got no shot as an independent. Why not? They got money. I'm not afraid of I'm not afraid of Trump. I'm not afraid of J.D. Vance. I'm not afraid of Newsom. I got nothing to lose. All I can do is fight for us. Two parties is wrong. This country belongs to us. I'm Joseph Samuel Catalano III. I am your independent president candidate. Get me on the ballot. Come and volunteer and help me. Donate to the campaign, and let's get this ball rolling. I will not misappropriate the campaign money. I will spend it wisely. You'll see me in your town. You tell me where you're at. I'll come personally and visit you. I'll come and have dinner in your house. We'll sit down and we'll tell stories. I'll listen to you, tell you what happened in your life. We'll try to fix you. We'll all become one nation, and we'll take our country back, and we'll run it the right way. First thing we got to do is I got to build trust back in the American people. Second thing, stop funding when every country gets in trouble. We got to fix our own country first, get all the homeless, all the veterans off the street. We got to get universal health care, veterans off the street. New prison reform got to be done. I was in prison, and it's no good. So I went from an addict, picked myself up, moved forward. I'm a winner. I went to prison, got clean, I moved forward. I overdosed 3 times. I was homeless and I was out of stamps. Also, the rents are still too damn high. People are forced to make a decision between groceries and medicine for their kids. $100,000 a year job is nothing today. The groceries are out of control. Gasoline's out of control. I will fight every day for you. I promise you. I'll get results. Come join me. Catalano 2028 campaign at gmail.com. Politics.raisethemoney.com/en/J Catalano. And if you like satire and some goofing around, come and enjoy my satire show tonight with Big Lou God. And I believe I got Tim O'Brien, a city councilman from Ohio, who's also part of my campaign, who I love to death, who stepped forward and helped me and believed in me. I've got cards here we'll get out. I'm doing all the printing myself. Come and help me. Help me join this ride. We got 2.5 years to get me in office. I'm going to be the best choice. But with an independent, most of you guys are sick of the left, the right, the blue, and the red. Move over. JD Vance, don't even run. You ain't got me yet to come and scoring. And Newsom, you're the biggest criminal of them all. You think you're slick and your wife is the devil. I will let you near my White House. It's going to be the Catalano administration. And from day one, I'm going to surround myself with the best lawyers and the best cabinet, the best people that are very experienced, and they're going to teach me how to be a good president. Now, we all had basic politics when we were in 8th grade, the Constitution. Every day I get questions from all the people that troll me. What's the 3 branches of government? And I know the answer because I forgot. I don't know the government part yet. I'm learning every day. I'm reading the Constitution. But I do learning, work in progress. I know that the basic 3 branches of government are legislative, executive, and judicial. Right? The executive part, it carries out and enforces the laws. The legislation makes the laws. Judicial interprets the laws and decides constitutional questions. Okay, that's what they do. The founders divided government power because they did not want the person of the one institution controlling the entire nation. Each branch has its own constitutional responsibility, and each branch has power that can limit, checks the other branches. The legislative branch, Congress, right? Legislative branch is established under Article 1 of the United States Constitution. The legislative branch is Congress. Congress consists of 2 chambers, the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate. I'll stop there. Because if anybody's watching, you can see I'm doing my homework. And I'm not reading no teleprompter. I'm not reading nothing. I'm learning. Maybe I'll give you a little more trust. We started getting some campaign money in. We got to get more. They say I should have about 200,000 by the end of February next year. I'm not even close. All these other people have no problem getting it. But I got to meet the people. So I got to get the RV so I can roll with my RV to state, city, town to town. Be there in the grind with you. I'm going to talk to the poor people. I'm talk to the working class people. I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen. Tell me what you think is broken, what you want. I know you want your voice back. We're going to give you that. If I White House every day, Monday through Friday, and let regular people come in and sit down with me and talk every day, we'll do that. We'll light for the Oval Office. AI's here. The future's here. Podcasts are in. We've got to go with the times. I'll give one thing. He's very vocal, not afraid to speak his mind. He just went a bunch of men in this war, but necessary. I don't know. You know, he tried to wait 80 bit. I need your help, people. I'll look you in the eye, and I promise you, I changed my life for the better. And all I want to do is help people and make a name for this country to be good and whole again. I love America. I love all of you. God bless you. God bless America. Remember, contact me. Put money, Donate to the grassroots campaign. Let's get me to the top, and let's win this election. We can do it. Promise. 6:30 night, satire show. I'll be a different person. I'm going to be going in with a surprise. I'm going to be going in with a filter tonight, and I'm going to be imitating one of our greatest, worst presidents. I don't know yet. We don't know. God bless you. Take care. Have a great night. And I'm going to stop that right here.